everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a shop my stash. If you missed my last video, it was a declutter. So I thought, because I have this nice new condensed makeup collection that I'm excited about, I wanted to shop my stash today. And as always with these videos, I have pulled out a few inspiration pictures. Today we are going to be basing my look off the cold girl trend, if you couldn't already tell by the makeup that's on my face. We are going to be recreating this look inspired by the cold girl makeup trend, which has been working its way around TikTok, Instagram, YouTube over the past couple of months. And I did shop my stash for these products as well. So I feel like in terms of base products, in terms of complexion products, there's not a whole lot going on. It's quite a natural finish. Definitely leans more matte than what I'm typically used to, but I definitely saw a lot more matte skin with this particular trend. And then obviously a huge focus on blush, specifically blush placement. But I do like that it's more focused on blush than bronzer, because I feel like so many looks are heavily focused on bronzer, bronze skin, that kind of golden goddess look. Whereas this is definitely in the opposite direction. The eyes are very simple. I just used a bit of bronzer through the crease, and then there's quite an intense inner corner highlight going on as well. Again, quite different for me. And then big juicy lips. So I hope that you enjoy. This is obviously the finished look, so if you want to know how I achieved this look and the products that I used, then just keep watching. So for this trend, the base and complexion is actually quite matte. There's not a lot of glow and radiance. There's very specific points of the face that seem to be highlighted, but overall in terms of foundation, concealer, etc., it's actually quite matte. That's not overly my style, so I am going to go in with a bit of my Flawless filter. But I'm going to be quite specific with where I put this, because again, the placement of highlight seems to be very, very specific, very intentional. So I'm just doing a little bit on the tops of my cheekbones, trying not to spread it too far. Tip of my nose, a little bit of my cupid's bow. So now that I've primed the skin, I'm going to go in with my L'Oreal True Match Tinted Serum. This is a really nice one if you want quite a natural skin-like finish. It's not overly glowy, but it's not overly matte either. So it's a really good kind of in-between foundation. And I do find that the coverage is pretty decent. You would maybe think it would be quite light and sheer, but I do find that you can build it up. So I'm going to take a little bit on my cheekbones. And I'm just going to work with that. So I'm going to use my Real Technique sponge to blend that in. This might be a bit dark for me, because it is typically a foundation I reach for in the summer. It's definitely nice to be able to get some use out of some complexion products, which maybe I have neglected over the past few months. Being able to see everything and have a slightly more condensed makeup collection definitely is nice. Actually not looking too bad. I thought it would be a bit dark for me, but it seems to be blending okay. So I'm now just going to conceal under my eyes with my RMS and cover up. Because my under eyes have been really dry lately, I am going to use my finger to blend this in, because I want to really press it into the skin and melt the product in. And I find that the warmth of your fingertips just help to do that. Then I'm going to powder a tiny bit more than I typically would. So I picked out my Charlotte Tilbury AIRBRUSH powder, because I know that this one remains really light and it's not too heavy on the skin. So I'm going to set under my eyes. Again, the skin doesn't look overly dewy, it doesn't look overly radiant. So I am going to be a bit more liberal with my powder today. So the bronzer was quite light as well. The focus is most definitely on the blush, and I actually have two blushes which I picked out because I do want to layer them. So for bronzer, I'm just going to keep it really simple, and I'm going to use my Benefit HOOLA Light. I'm just going to use this on my small Real Techniques contour brush, just to add a tiny bit of colour. Also gives the blush something else to blend into as well. Taking a bit over my forehead, the nose is going to be a bit more blush heavy than bronzer heavy today as well. But that's just added a bit of colour to my face. I'm not going to do any more than that. However, what I am going to do is take the same bronzer, so whichever one you've used on the face, take a big fluffy brush, and I'm going to start working that through the crease of my eye. There's not a lot of eyeshadow going on. It's very, very basic. And there is a pot of highlight in the inner corner. And then it looks like a lot of people use winged liner as well. So I picked up a couple of blushes for this. I have a cream blush and a powder, and I'm going to layer them because the blush is quite intense. It's definitely the focus of this look, and I want to get as much opacity and as much colour as I possibly can. So I'm going to start with the Rose Ink blush in Azalea. I tried to go for shades that weren't super warm toned, that lean almost neutral but definitely more cool toned. So I'm going to take the Rose Ink foundation brush, and I'm going to start working this from the brush, and I'm going to take it onto the back of my hand first. Now it's all about the blush placement as well for this look, so we really want to make sure that we are taking it quite far in and up, almost under the eyes. So I'm definitely going to start a bit higher than what I'm actually get some focus, shall we? So I'm going to start a bit higher than where I would typically place my blush. And I'm kind of hitting this area here. And I want to build this up quite slowly. I never wear my blush like this, so this is a first for me. I'm definitely more of a bronzer girl. And then I'll go a bit lighter on the blush normally. Obviously we're taking it on the nose because when you're cold you do get a little pink button nose. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there for my cream blush. I did say I had two blushes. I also pulled out my Tarte DOLLFACE. This is very cool toned, very blue based, as you can see. So I think this is going to work really well. Overall, this look definitely leans more cool toned. So I thought adding this on top to set the cream blush down would be quite a good option. Again, I'm going to work the product into the bristles on the back of my hand. So I'm not applying too much. This is also a matte blush as well. As I said, the glow and the highlight is very specific, very intentional. So I'm just going to, this is quite an intense blush. So I think one layer is going to be fine. I'm also going to take whatever's left on my brush and just kind of sweep that through the crease of my eye and kind of flick it out towards my brow, just to tie that colour in. Okay, I think that's fine. I think that actually looks quite good. So that is definitely the main focus of the look. As I said, there's definitely some highlight placement going on as well. So I picked out my Charlotte Tilbury Glow Glide. This is the new one, and it's in Champagne Glow. I wish I had something a bit more cool toned. This is definitely warmer, as most of Charlotte Tilbury products are. I do feel like something a bit more intense is definitely needed. So there's definitely highlight on the Cupid's bow. The lips look very full. I'm also going to take a tiny bit, kind of on the apples here. I feel like this was something I saw quite a lot in the reference photos, but we're not taking the highlight too far back. It's mainly just in this area here. You can go over with your powder and blush brush as well, just to make sure it's not too intense. So I'm going to speed through my brows. I've got my e.l.f. not precisely my brow, that's the other brand, Precise Brow Pencil, and the REFY Brow Sculpt. Definitely feathery brows, I feel like I saw quite a lot. I know that is a trend in general at the moment. So my brows are done and looking very fluffy. So moving back onto the eyes, there is a very, very heavy focus on the inner corner. And I tried my best to find a cool toned, very icy, blue, purple very shimmery eyeshadow for this step, but I just didn't have anything like that in my collection. So I'm going to layer a very pale, almost white eyeshadow into my inner corner, and then I'm going to go over the top with a lighter shimmery shade. The shimmery shade that I have is from my Tarte Lit in Bloom palette, and I'm going to use Funny Girl, which is this one up here. It's a bit more champagne than what I was hoping for, but in the spirit of shopping my stash, you know, sometimes you don't always have the exact products and you just have to work with what you have. So I'm going to start off with Charmer, which is the paler shade. And I've got a small brush here. And I'm going to tap that right into the inner corner. I would say, along with the blush, the inner corner highlight is definitely a strong focus of the look. So I do want to make sure that the white shade I'm putting down is quite opaque before I go in with a shimmer shade. Okay, so that is the white layered into my inner corner. I'm now going to go in with Funny Girl, and I'm going to pat that over the top. I don't want this to be too warm, so I'm only going in with a little bit. I mean, it's definitely looking a lot more highlighted and a lot brighter. So I'm going to try and do a very thin winged liner. I've got my Paul & Joe liquid liner here in black, and I'm going to try and create quite a nice thin line, and we are going to also bring it out a little bit as well. Okay, so I've done some eyeliner, and I've also just put some mascara on as well. I used my Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk lash. So now that I've got my eyeliner on, I do want to take this white shade, just slightly in a little bit further into my lid here. I'm also going to take Charmer and kind of highlight underneath where we have put the winged liner, just in that kind of outer corner there. Just putting that right underneath, so the liner has something to contrast against. This is so far from the look I would normally do, but I'm quite enjoying it. It's fun to switch things up and to play around. So for my lips, I want something really juicy, again quite cool toned. So I'm going to mix two lip liners because I just couldn't find the exact shade that I wanted. So I think if I mix these two, we will be there. One thing that I did notice when I was just scrolling through Pinterest looking at some inspiration pictures is that the blush and the lip colours are practically the same. So I'm hoping that by mixing my Essence lip liner in First Love and my NYX lip liner in Natural, that we will kind of get a similar tone to what's going on the cheeks. And the lip liner definitely isn't super defined. It's definitely quite kind of diffused and blurred. So I'm just going in really roughly with the Essence shade first, then I'm going to take my NYX lip liner. Yeah, just create a bit more of a pouty look, but without the lip liner being too harsh. So I then picked out my Fenty lip gloss in Fussy. I chose this one because there are some very slight iridescent sparkles in here, and it's very juicy. I'm hoping that those sparkles will pick up. And I'm going to take this a bit over my lip line as well. If you really want to be extra, you can add a bit of highlight into the centre of the lip. I'm going to do that because I'm feeling extra. I'm just going to use my finger so I don't ruin my highlight here. And I'm just going to take that and just press it onto the top of my Cupid's bow. Wow. Very different look for me. Just add a tiny bit more blush up here. So that is the finished I'm cold, whatever makeup trend. It's not a makeup look, a makeup style I would typically go for every day, but that's why I really like to do these shop my stash videos and just try and reference something, get inspiration from something so that I can create a look that's a tiny bit different, a tiny bit out of my comfort zone. So I really hope that you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.